Hello, this is Brian Rose from London Real, and for today's broadcast, I want to comment on a front page article that was written about myself, London Real, and the Digital Freedom Platform, and all of you, the London Real Army, by Vice magazine. We are on the front page of their UK site, and it's a detailed article, probably a couple thousand words, that goes into many aspects of who I am, who London Real is, and the last, say, 6 to 8 weeks of broadcasting with David Icke and other doctors in the Digital Freedom Platform. And I just wanted to rebut some of the points that they made in that article and give you my response. Again, I'm always happy to respond to criticism from credible media sources, and that's what we're going to do today. So before I get started, I just want to say that they told me this would happen. And it's people kind of like Alex Jones and others that said, Brian, what they're going to do is they're going to come after your reputation. They're going to try to come after your business. They're going to try to discredit you as a person because they can't really argue the logic of the ideas. And so, he was right, and many people were right. They're attempting to slander me. Our entire body of work over the last 9 years for London Real, the incredible content we put out there, the 500 million views, the millions of subscribers and members of the London Real Army around the world. And so, the funny thing is that we waited 9 years to get some coverage from Vice. And this is the truth. 5 years ago, 6 years ago, we would write to Vice saying, do you want to do an article about London Real? Look at all the cool stuff we're doing, the incredible conversations we're having with people like Mantak Chia and Dorian Yates and Wim Hof the Iceman and Ido Portal. But of course, they wanted nothing to do with us. And of course, now they decided to write an article because they thought they had maybe a juicy, scandalous angle, which it's clear from the article and from what I'm going to say today that they really don't. The truth is we saw this coming. We knew it was coming. They reached out to us last week and asked us for a response to an article they were going to write about us and our business and the platform. Honestly, my lawyers said, don't reply, which is kind of the standard thing because they said they're going to take anything you say and they're going to twist it and do a complete hatchet job on you, which is what they're going to do anyways. But I disagreed and I said, look, I actually want to answer a variety of these questions because I completely believe in what we do here at London Real. I am a huge, huge proponent of everything we do as a brand. Our London Real Academy is incredible. Our Business Accelerator program is incredible. Our dedication to free speech since 2011 is something I'm so proud of. It's the greatest thing I've ever done in my entire life. And anybody that knows our brand, that's taken one of our courses, that's watched our videos, realizes the integrity we have, the hard work we put in, and just the tireless work we've done for the last 9 years. So I responded to every single one of their questions and replied back, and then we just waited for the bomb to drop. And yesterday it dropped. It came out on Vice. I posted it on Instagram, on YouTube. If you haven't yet watched the article, go to vice.com and you can read it. It's still on the front page here in the UK, or go to my Instagram or YouTube channel and we posted it there. So I wanted to comment that today. Before I get started, I just kind of want to say that Vice, I'm a bit disappointed in who you've become. Vice magazine used to be this bastion of punk journalism. They would call things out. They would report on things that were going right or going wrong. But now they're 26 years old. They've turned into a $4 billion company that, does deals with HBO. And I just think it's really changed as a company. And it's just something that I think it's turned into more of something that's like the BBC. That's what it feels like. It feels like mainstream media to me. And that's what Vice has become. And it's a bit sad because now it reads like the BBC. And it reads like mainstream journalism, which I think it's quite sad. So today I want to jump into this article and I want to talk about 4 main points. The first is the entire tone of this article is calling what we do misinformation and disinformation. And I highly disagree, and I want to explain exactly how. The second thing I want to talk about is our Digital Freedom Fund and the whole concept of what we're fighting for, which is freedom of speech. That seems to be not very important to Vice. They call me an absolutist when it comes to freedom of speech, as if that's a bad thing. You're damn right I'm an absolutist. I believe in freedom of speech. I think it's the most fundamental of human rights. There's a reason in America it's the First Amendment. It's not the Seventh Amendment or the 17th Amendment. It's very, very important to me. And that's why we have been fighting for freedom of speech for the last 9 years. And I want to talk about it today. The third thing I want to talk about is our digital freedom platform. I want to talk about the fundraise. I want to talk about exactly how that money is being spent, the audit trail, and my pledge to be a custodian for this money. And I want to talk to you about everything that we have planned and what we have planned going forward and what we're going to accomplish. We're already accomplishing incredible things by having high-level doctors on the platform and high-level programming that otherwise would be censored on the major platforms. And finally, I want to talk about our Business Accelerator program, something that I'm extremely proud of. You know, in the article, Vice Magazine called it the quote-unquote Business Accelerator. No, I've been teaching this course for over 5 years. I've graduated over 5,000 people from 107 countries from around the world. Some of them have gone on to build multi-million-dollar businesses. You can go find these people on my platform. There are literally hundreds and hundreds of in-studio interviews of me interviewing the entrepreneurs that have gone through my program and swear that it changed their businesses and changed their lives. So this is something I'm super proud of, and I want to talk about that. And then I want to wrap this up by just giving you my conclusions. So let's jump into this. Again, the whole tone of this article is that we disseminate misinformation. And I just think that's a complete disservice, and it's very disrespectful to the doctors that I have on this program. Again, let me give their names. This Dr. Rashid Buttar, Dr. Andrew Kaufman, Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, and Dr. Judy Mikovits. These are people with tens of years in their medical professions that have researched tirelessly the facts and logic about these diseases. And yet Vice says this. He says, Rose himself disclaims that he does not always agree with some of these people's views and those of the other quacks that he has platformed during this coronavirus pandemic. Quacks? Really? Dr. Judy Mikovits is a quack? Dr. Buttar is a quack? I find that to be really an extreme statement, a completely disrespectful statement, and completely untrue for Vice to use that kind of language. So, I want that retracted for sure. Also, they said that London Real will continue our fight for freedom of speech, what it called as defined by the global dissemination of misinformation, disinformation, and other damaging falsehoods. Again, I take serious task with that because it discredits and puts in disrepute everything we're doing here at London Real and all of you that are consuming our content. Again, 1.3 million people, unique viewers, tuned in for the David Icke conversation. Millions of people have watched our further conversations on the Digital Freedom Platform. And to say that you're all out there as, following quacks and consuming disinformation and misinformation, I think that's totally wrong. And I don't even believe that the writer of this piece actually believes in that. I don't think that you believe that everything you're being told by the UK government, the US government, the regulators is correct. I don't think that you believe that. And I think even you would probably admit to me, off the record, that a lot of this information is something to be worth considering for the public. And that's why I get stopped in the streets every single day with people telling me to continue putting out this information because we know it's true. And we're going to know it's going to start to become a public policy in the next few months. And we'll look back on these days when we were being told the wrong thing. So I don't like that tone. I don't like that they're calling those people out. Also, they personally attack Dr. Buttar and Dr. Kaufman. They said about Dr. Buttar, quote, Buttar has also called on people to go outside and claim that far from being inundated with coronavirus sufferers, hospitals are idle, unquote. Of course they're idle. Most people now commonly agree that many, many hospitals are idle right now. I speak to nurses in the streets that said they've been laid off. So the fact that Vice Magazine is trying to discredit Buttar by saying that that's a falsehood, again, it just shows me that they're making claims that are just ridiculous as far as to claim their credibility. So again, I don't like the way that they're implying that we are spreading misinformation and disinformation. And again, attacking the character of the doctors as opposed to the science itself. And again, they continue to do this with me. They continue to do this with people like David Icke. Again, I'm not asking you about the character of these people. I'm asking you to listen to their ideas as an adult with sovereignty over your own body. You have the right to listen to that information, not a regulator or a censor to tell you that it's dangerous, and you get to make that decision. That's the entire point of freedom of speech, and I think Vice magazine completely misses this. And the whole tone that this is a platform that is putting out information that is not credible, I think is, again, very disrespectful to everyone who follows London Real, the London Real Army, and all of these incredible doctors that I have on this platform. So that's my first thought. I don't like the tone of misinformation. The second thing is to attack the Digital Freedom Fund and the whole concept that we are fighting for freedom of speech, which, again, seems to be something that Vice and some of the people they quote, it seems to just have no merit. They call me an absolutist when it comes to freedom of speech. I think it's the most important human right. Without being able to talk about these ideas, how can we debate them? And how can science move forward? That has represented all of the great advancements in civilization when it comes to even the days of Copernicus and whether whether the earth revolved around the sun, issues like slavery, issues like gay rights, that all happened because of a free censorship-free debate. So the fact that they're questioning this really, really makes me wonder. And they pull up this professor of public international law at the University of Nottingham School of Law, Marko Milanovic. I've never heard of him, but he starts to comment on whether we have any chance to actually sue some of these platforms for freedom of speech. And they're attacking our Digital Freedom Fund, saying there was no reason for us to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars because according to Vice and this professor, we have no chance of suing these platforms. And that's what he says. And this professor says, quote, "The only way to sue YouTube is in a private action in a specific country for, say, breach of contract. But that won't apply here for various reasons or would not succeed anyway." Okay, so this is some random professor at some school in Nottingham that is now telling me that I have no case in court. That is just not true. And thankfully, they printed my response, which was this, quote, "In response, Rose said that he sought legal advice and believes there is a case to be made that private tech companies are essentially public utilities and should therefore be subject to the same rules as governments with regards to protecting free speech, citing Article 10 of the European Convention on Human Rights." Yes, I do think that, and we are currently proceeding with legal cases both in America and in the UK based on that. And that is why over 100,000 people have signed my open letter asking for legislation for what I call digital freedom of speech. And you can go read that letter at londonreal.tv/letter. You can sign it if you think I'm right. We have a case here, and we have lawyers here in the UK that are taking precedent of private companies acting as public utilities, which is what these digital platforms are doing, especially in the coronavirus era. Look at any video on YouTube. Underneath it, there's an ad for the NHS. So they're actually being funded by our governments to disseminate public information. And we believe that as public utilities, then they must respect the laws in the land. And again, honestly, I would expect Vice to be part of this fight. Vice magazine, which for 20 years was, the voice that would come out against some of these injustices and against some of these, government laws that don't protect our rights, but instead, they seem to be going along with our oppressors in this case. So again, I'm just not very impressed. It doesn't seem very Vice, this article. It seems more like the BBC, which is what they've become, in my opinion. They go on to say this, and this is a long quote, but I want to say it because I think it makes an important point. Again, this is a quote from the article from Vice. Quote, "Article 10 also has clear provisions on this, stating that restrictions on the freedom of expression are prescribed by law by necessity in the interests of national security, public safety, and crucially for the protection of health." This is continuing from the article. In other words, even if YouTube were considered an extension of the state, which is a stretch in their mind, continuing, it would have the legal right to ban anything it deemed a threat to the public safety. So this is Vice saying that YouTube would have the legal right to ban anything it deemed a threat to public safety. So a $1 trillion technology company based in Silicon Valley in America would have the right to ban anything it deemed as a threat to public safety. The reason we're putting out these messages is because we believe that this information is in the interest of national security. It is crucial to public safety and the protection of health. That's why we're streaming this information. And I don't believe the way that Vice believes that a $1 trillion technology platform should be the ones making that decision. I mean, come on, Vice. That's absolutely ridiculous. And clearly, there's over $1 million worth of funding we've received for this digital freedom platform. and millions of people out there in the world that are watching this content and that are funding this platform and signing my open letters that also believe the same as we do. So, that is my counter to your arguments against the Digital Freedom Fund and against our fight for digital freedom of speech. Let me continue to our Digital Freedom Platform, because they call out the money that we have raised for this platform. So let me just tell you exactly how that worked. 7 weeks ago, the platform didn't exist. It was our second interview with David Icke of 2020, Rose Icke 2. We had streamed it on YouTube to the second largest live stream audience in the world that day. This was April 6th. 30 minutes later, that was deleted and banned, and we decided that we needed to find an independent platform to continue spreading these messages. So we put May 3rd in the calendar and said, we're going to stream Rose Icke 3 to over 1 million people. To do that, we need the funding, and we raised very quickly $100,000 to fund that stream. And again, in previous videos, I've explained the allocation of this funds, but I'll do it again now. $62,500 of that was paid to an independent platform, a platform that live streamed the Super Bowl in years previous, for the bandwidth to live stream that video. The rest of the funding went for upgrading our website, our servers, and all of our plugins to handle the kind of traffic we had that day, which, by the way, was over 113,000 concurrent users. Probably traffic that very few websites in the world have ever seen. So it was a massive upgrade. We spent well over $100,000 to stream that day, by the way. And there's something I want to say to Vice Magazine. They say in the article, quote, incidentally, that service is already provided by the likes of BitChute and BitTube. Untrue. Neither one of those services do any live streaming. None whatsoever. They host videos. This is a completely different animal. It's one thing to host a video. It's another thing to have it on demand for live viewing. And that's why we had to make that massive initial investment. But London Reelers, the London Reel Army, and you told us that you wanted more. You continued giving money. And so we decided to expand the remit to continue to streaming more people. So we decided to take a chunk of those funds to allocate that to pay for the live streams of Dr. Buttar, Dr. Kaufman, Dr. Mikovits, and Dr. Tenpenny. We've also had Dr. Mikovits back on again. We've had Dr. Buttar on last night with a panel of 160 medical professionals, all live streaming on the Digital Freedom Platform. We are putting this money to great use. But let me say one thing about this money. I am extremely frugal. I will not spend your money unless it's absolutely necessary, which means I will use any free platform I can in order to not draw down on the money given to me and entrusted to me by the Digital Freedom Platform. So I'll use any free service necessary, which is what we did with the French-owned company Dailymotion. We used their free service as long as we could to save the money from our over 30,000 donors of the Digital Freedom Platform. Then, when they banned our David Icke content and our doctor's content, which we knew they would, then we started spending the funds. Again, my idea is to take this money and have it lasting for years so we can go and build something that rivals some of these trillion-dollar technology behemoths. And I just want to make that very clear. We're trying to make this money last as long as possible, and we're going to use any free service necessary that we can. We're also going to keep the identity of the companies we're working with as quiet as possible. And if I have to, I'm going to try not to tell you who these people are, because there are people out there that will contact these companies, that will publicly shame them to try to get them to not do business with us. And we're trying, again, to continue these messages, because there are people that are watching me right now that are following us on social media that even go on the Digital Freedom Platform that want us to fail. Governments, mainstream media platforms, regulators, and they're trying to get us to fail by criticizing the people that we do business with. So I want to make that clear to Vice and everyone else. Also, we realized that we were going to have to use blockchain technology because we had a very sophisticated malicious attack on the LondonReal.tv website and the Digital Freedom Platform soon after Rose Icke 3 happened. They took down the episode, and we realized we would need funds to distribute this information. So that's why we raised another chunk of money for blockchain, which we are implementing as we speak. Next, we wanted to raise money for this Digital Freedom Fund, which we are using now to go after and put on notice these major technology platforms and get them to re-platform these videos and also fight for the legislation of digital freedom of speech. So that is what this fund is being spent for. And again, I'm not spending this money until absolutely necessary, because this is going to be a fight that's going to take 3 to 5 years. I was on the phone with one of our lawyers in America, and he said, Brian, this might go to the Supreme Court, and we might have to go and get these tech companies to actually make this change in a law. That's going to take years. That's going to take money. I said, great, I want to do that, but I also want to take immediate measures too. So we're here for the long run. And finally, that's phase 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 of the Digital Freedom Platform. Again, you can read all about this on londonreal.tv/freedom. I spec all this out, the exact amount of money that's been spent so far, in addition to phase 6, which is our monthly running costs, so we can hire an entire team of designers, developers, and legal professionals so we can continue this fight for years and years to come. Otherwise, this initial funding is going to run out, and we're going to have to shut down the platform and shut down the fight. And these companies only respect someone with a war chest, and that's what we have, a war chest for freedom, and someone that's going to be in this for the long haul, and that's exactly what we're doing with the Digital Freedom Fund. So I wanted to break that down and explain that to Vice or to anyone else who didn't explain that at all or who didn't understand that. Finally, I want to finish and talk about our Business Accelerator program. And Vice decided to kind of go after us, and they called me a wantrepreneur. I don't really know what that means. I've been called much worse. To try to discredit our practice of teaching students online to build businesses. And I know a lot of people out there think that there's something wrong with that business model. I am extremely proud of the London Real Academy. We've been teaching in this academy for over 5 years. I've graduated over 5,000 students from 107 different countries. I've taught them how to start their own digital business, how to start their own podcast, how to publicly speak and go and give TED Talks, and how to take various aspects of their life and accelerate them. I'm very proud of this program. If you go to londonreal.tv/biz, B-I-Z, you can learn about this program. You can also listen and watch to 27 different long-form video interviews with some of my students from the Business Accelerator, people from all sorts of different countries, people that are actually employees of some of these trillion-dollar technology companies, professors, personal trainers, experts in human movement, lawyers, doctors, who have all used my training to sometimes build million-dollar businesses. Also, if you go on YouTube, there are hundreds more interviews that I've had with people that have graduated my course that are extremely happy with the results. Again, it's an 8-week program, and we literally teach people how to create a revenue-generating business in those 8 weeks. I personally am there teaching that program with live calls every single week. We have an accountability system. We have an incredible product that honestly I think is one of the best in the world. I constantly say, I'll take the Pepsi Challenge with our Business Accelerator to any business course taught in the world. I took business at the MIT Sloan School of Management, and quite honestly, I think our course is better. It's practical, it gets you to go into your fears, and it actually gets real results. We don't do theory, and I literally hold you accountable to take action. And it's something I'm very proud of. So I'm happy to talk anytime about our online courses. I think they are some of the best in the world, and I'm super proud of our pricing. I'm super proud of our graduates, and I look forward to graduating hundreds of thousands of more. And I actually look forward to the London Real Academy replacing university education for potentially millions of people around the world. So that's what I'd have to say to Vice. Sure, there are some people that take programs and courses and decide that they didn't have a good experience. And for those people, I encourage them to go ahead and publicly speak through their own right to freedom of speech on how they feel. And yes, there are some people that have not had good experiences in my course for whatever reason. And they're out there. And of course, you can find those in any business, whether you sell coffee or you sell meals or you sell ab rollers. There's always someone out there that didn't like your product. And we have those too. And sure, Vice found some of those people. But again, I stand 100% behind my program. Also, we have so many levels of accountability. I have former graduates that help me as team leaders in these programs to make sure that they hold these people accountable and to give their advice because they've been through the program and implemented this business successfully. So this concept of a pyramid scheme, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. My graduates help other people get through that program. And again, I'll be coming to you, Vice, with some legal thoughts to get you to retract some of those comments that you've made about me, about my Business Accelerator, and the rest. So look, I just wanted to finish by saying that honestly, Vice, I expected more. I thought you would be the ones that would be fighting with us on the front lines for freedom of speech. You used to be known as a publication that was out there calling out governments, calling out regulators, fighting for the individual citizen. And yet in this article, you said that YouTube should be the one to decide whether something being said is in the interest of public health. And that to me is just boggling to the mind. And it just shows that you have now become part of the mainstream media. So again, take a number with all of those in the mainstream media that have come recently to criticize the work we've done here at London Real and the Digital Freedom Platform. I now consider you the same as BBC, Sky News, CNBC, CNN, and all the others that are out there towing the narrative of those forces that want to remain in power, that are making money from the current status quo. And we are going to continue doing what we're doing, which is keep the Digital Freedom Platform running. We are broadcasting multiple live streams every single week. We are putting ideas out there, and we're allowing you to decide as an adult with sovereignty over your own mind and body that you can take information and do something crazy, which is form your own decision. And a lot of people see that I'm actually interviewing people in the streets these days, and every single person I meet on the streets, every single one of them says, Brian, thank you. We believe that we have the right to the information. We don't understand why it's being censored by these platforms. We don't understand why the government is telling us we can't make our own decision as adults. We appreciate what you're doing. Please, these are doctors and scientists. Let them speak and let us have a healthy debate. Let us do some more studies if necessary, and let us come to the right conclusion about everything that we've been talking about. Coronavirus, 5G, vaccines, anything. It doesn't matter. Flat Earth. Let's have all the information out there so we can make the decisions. And I pledge to you that we're going to keep fighting no matter what. So whether it's Vice.com or New York Times or the BBC or any YouTuber or anyone out there or a government or a regulator like Ofcom that says we're doing the wrong thing, I disagree. We are going to keep broadcasting these messages that are uncensored, unedited, and will not be banned or deleted. That's all happening at our Digital Freedom Platform. Again, if you want to sign my open letter to governments declaring that we believe we need to legislate the digital freedom of speech, go to londonreal.tv/letter. Please give me your signature. If you want to learn more about the Digital Freedom Platform, go to londonreal.tv/freedom. And again, people continue to donate, and that's my barometer. People are continue to vote with their wallets and saying, Brian, we believe in what you're saying. And that shows me that we're doing the right thing. And again, we will continue to publish more information about the detailed spend of that money. We will continue forward with our audit trail of all of our expenditures, and I will continue to be extremely frugal with the money you've entrusted to me. And if it takes 5 years to spend it, that's fine with me. If I can use free platforms to do everything we're going to do, I'm going to always choose that. But in the background, we are also building an infrastructure that will be paralleled. And again, to quote the great Conor McGregor, we are not here to take part. We are here to take over. And I want that to be a clear message to the trillion-dollar companies. We're not some podcast. We're not some random YouTuber. We are here on the front lines to battle you head-to-head with a platform that is just as good as yours. So I'm not looking for some half measures. I'm looking to broadcast every single day content that is unparalleled when it comes to its credibility. And to do that, I have to build a massive infrastructure full of developers, creatives, lawyers, executives, PR people, whatever is necessary. And we're going to look back on this in 5 years, and we're going to see where the Digital Freedom Platform started. And it started with you standing up to these governments and these platforms and these regulators and the mainstream media saying, we're not going to take it anymore. And we don't just want some half measure. We want to go full out. And that's what you've charged me to do. So I'm going to push forward with more messaging, with greater infrastructure, with more funding if necessary. And we're going to build something that is really, it's going to be the source when it comes to truth and when it comes to freedom of speech. So that's my pledge to you. And again, go read the article if you'd like, share it with your friends, but understand this is what's really going on here. And I'm going to be putting out weekly broadcasts to, again, rebut any criticisms out there from any credible sources, and to also continue to over-communicate when it comes to the audit trail of the money I'm spending with you. And I'm going to be coming with you with probably too many messages for you, really explaining what all of these funds are being used for. And you're going to see it actually on the website and the broadcast themselves. So there you go. Thank you so much for tuning in here. I'm super excited for what we're doing here at the Digital Freedom Platform. And I look forward to continue going on ahead with us fighting for freedom of speech. So thank you very much. I look forward to talking to you to the next time. Bye-bye.